everybody, it's Karen here from Dark Moon Emporium, and in today's video I'm showing you how I work with some problems preparing images for engraving. I've imported my image into XTool Creative Space, and for the purposes of demonstration I have brought it in as a DXF file. If I was using an SVG I wouldn't have this issue, but I've brought it in as a DXF just to show you how I get around this particular problem. Let's imagine that for some reason you can only have a DXF file, okay? And it looks fine. It's an outline, scored kind of image, but I don't want that. I want my lines to be a bit bolder and a bit more visible. So I'm going to hit engrave. And now you can see what the problem is. All of these black bits here are all filled in, and I don't want them. I just want something like this line around here. So how can I get around that? Well, I'm going to come up here to make compound path. Make compound vector, sorry, they call it in XCS. And now I've got one path, one vector, but I've still got my skinny lines and I still haven't got anything filled in, and I'm already on the engrave parameters. So what can I do about this? Because this is not what I want. I want something that's a bit more there, a bit bolder. Well, I can go up here to outline, and I'm going to change the offset distance to 0 and confirm. And it looks as though nothing's happened, but if I go to engrave, now that is what I want. So if I move my top image out of the way, I've still got the vector underneath, and I don't want it, so I'm going to get rid of that. I mean, I could leave it there, but what will happen is that your laser will try and we'll try and score the outline, and we'll try and engrave it. And maybe that's what you want. If so, just leave it in place. But now I'm much happier with that. That is the result that I want. So let's look at, let's have a look at another issue. So this is another image, and again I've brought it in as a DXF. If you were bringing it in as an SVG you wouldn't have these issues. But this one is as a personalised image. So this would be nice for you know, a Valentine's gift for somebody, wouldn't it? This would be lovely. So I'm going to do something similar, but before I get started, I'm going to get rid of the placekeepers here, the her name and his name. So I'm going to ungroup everything, and then I'm just going to select these bits there, and I'm going to make sure I've got all of the little wiggly bits in underneath, and I'm also going to get rid of the pieces over here. Okay, so now I'm back to my outline, which at the moment is just set as score. And again, if I engrave, I've got that issue again with the fingers being all filled in. So selecting all of this, make compound vector, outline, offset distance 0, 0. Confirm, engrave, and I can get rid of my compound vector underneath there because I don't need it. So this is another image, and again I've brought it in as a DXF. If you were bringing it in as an SVG you wouldn't have these issues. But this one is as a personalised image. So this would be nice for, you know, a Valentine's gift for somebody, wouldn't it? This would be lovely. So I'm going to do something similar, but before I get started, I'm going to get rid of the placekeepers here, the her name and his name. So I'm going to ungroup everything, and then I'm just going to select these bits there, and I'm going to make sure I've got all of the little wiggly bits in underneath, and I'm also going to get rid of the pieces over here. Okay, so now I'm back to my outline, which at the moment is just set as score. And again, if I engrave, I've got that issue again with the fingers being all filled in. So selecting all of this, make compound vector, outline, offset distance 0, 0, confirm, engrave, and I can get rid of my compound vector underneath there because I don't need it. But now I've lost the personalization, but that's not a problem because we can just go to our text tool, and I'm going to pick a script font, and this one here, Blackjack, is built into XTool Creative Space, so I'm going to just type in one name. I'm going to call it Fred, weld it, group it, set it to engrave, and resize it so that it's about the size I want. You know, I've got options there, and I'm going to do the same again. Let's put that out of the way. And this time I'm going to choose the name of Wilma, and same font, weld, group, and make it an engrave so I can see what I'm doing properly. And I'm going to resize that one, and I'm going to line it up against Fred so that I know I'm kind of in the right ballpark. Just turn that around, and I'm thinking maybe that's a little, maybe those are a little bit on the large side, so I could just adjust that until I'm happy with the way it looks, and mess around with the angle, and I'm reasonably happy with that. So I could drag my mouse across everything, but this time I'm just going to hit Command and A or Control and A if you're on a Windows machine, and group. And there, that is ready to be engraved onto the item of your choice, really. I think I might actually make one of these with for friends and engrave it onto a slate heart. I think that would look quite nice. This time I've brought the image in as a PNG file, and the only option that you have with PNG is to engrave. You can't score, you can't cut. Well, let's imagine that we want to just score this particular image. So we could go to the outline option as we've done before, but we also have a different one when it's something like a PNG or a JPEG, if it's a raster file. You have the trace option, and that brings up this screen, and you can see that we have the image, and we can we can zoom into it, we can have a look at it a little bit in a little bit more detail, and I'm happy that it's picked up everything I want, so I'm just going to go to save, and let me just and make sure I've got everything selected, because now you can see that some of the lines have separated. So let's get rid of the original, and now I have my scored outline. So I'm just going to group everything, because, as I said, some of these little lines here have kind of detached themselves. So let's make sure that everything is grouped. And now I can score, I can engrave, I could even cut. So one last little thing that I can do with this image. Let's imagine that I want my image to be in relief. So I want the background engraved, but not the image at the front. So how can I go about doing that? Well, I'm going to begin by drawing a rectangle over my image, and I'm going to send it to a different layer, and I'm going to hit engrave. And now the rectangle is at the front because it was the last thing that I put there, so I want to send it to the back. And I'm going to set that to engrave, because it's easier to see. Simple as that. Now, if I send this to the laser as it is, and I'm going to click on process, this is what I'll get. It'll just engrave everything. That's not what I want at all. And I don't have my laser switched on, so it's not going to do anything with it, so let's not worry. So what I'm going to do instead is I am going to make sure I've selected everything. So I've just dragged my mouse across everything, or I could hit Command and Control and A, and I'm going to come up here and I am going to subtract. And what that will do, it will take the front image out of the back image, and it will leave that. And if I go now to process, that is what I get. So if I were making this into a rubber stamp and I wanted it to come out that way, what I would also do would be to reflect it horizontally, and then I could go ahead and cut it out of whatever material I was using. It would be this particular image would be a very fine one, so I would probably add a somewhat thicker outline to it, but that's the principle of it. I hope that helped, and if you enjoyed the video, then please do click the thumbs up below, and if you would like to see more, then click on subscribe. It is free for you, but it really helps my channel. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back soon. Bye.